On 28 May 1961, the front page of The Observer carried an article with a title that would soon be etched into the annals of human rights history: The Forgotten Prisoners. Its author, British barrister Peter Benenson, issued a searing indictment of a global indifference that allowed men and women to be jailed, tortured, and silenced for no other crime than peacefully expressing their convictions. In that single editorial, Benenson lit a spark that would become Amnesty International, an organization that, over the following decades, would reshape the world's understanding of individual dignity and state power. To understand the genesis of this movement, we must travel to Portugal under Antonio de Oliveira Salazar's Estado Novo regime. Built on ultra-conservative Catholic doctrine and a fear of communism, the Estado Novo imposed absolute control over public life. A secret police force, the PIDE, loomed in every corner, ready to intimidate, censor, detain, and torture anyone who dared to challenge the official line. In Coimbra, two university students performed an act that today seems unremarkable: a toast to liberty in a crowded cafe. This symbolic gesture, interpreted by the regime as sedition, earned them 7-year prison sentences. Their plight reached Peter Benenson in London, and he was transfixed by the injustice. He later recalled that the story filled him with profound indignation and convinced him that silence was complicity. On that May morning, readers of The Observer encountered Benenson's appeal. Open your newspaper any day of the week, and you will find that someone has been imprisoned, tortured, or executed because his opinions or religion are unacceptable to his government. He acknowledged the reader's sickening sense of impotence and proposed a remedy: unite disgust into a common action. Benenson called for letter-writing campaigns. He coined the term prisoners of conscience to describe those incarcerated solely for their beliefs, provided they neither used nor advocated violence. Within weeks, the appeal had spread across Europe and North America. Newspapers reprinted the editorial, and more than 1,000 letters poured into The Observer. By July 1961, a small group convened in London. Among the attendees was Eric Baker, a Quaker peace activist whose discipline would guide the fledgling movement. Together, they resolved that this campaign must outlive its initial year. It needed structure, independence, and permanence. From that meeting emerged Amnesty International, an organization unaligned with any political party or religious denomination, dedicated solely to the defense of human rights. In its first 12 months, Amnesty established national sections across 7 countries. With an annual budget of just over £6,000, it took on 210 individual cases. Fact-finding missions, legal documentation, and coordinated public campaigns would become its trademark. At the heart of Amnesty's mission lay the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, adopted by the United Nations in 1948. Benenson and his colleagues focused particularly on Articles 18 and 19, freedoms of thought, conscience, religion, and expression. These lofty ideals became concrete when applied to real lives. Men and women behind bars for the simple act of dissent. This case-based advocacy personalized injustice and made it harder for governments to dismiss allegations as propaganda. It galvanized ordinary citizens, transforming passive readers into active defenders of the voiceless. Rapid growth brought organizational challenges. In 1967, sections spanning the globe gathered at Elsinore Castle to address governance and coordination. The Elsinore Inquiry laid down formal procedures, defining the roles of the International Secretariat and the International Executive Committee. These reforms enabled Amnesty to scale without sacrificing its founding principles. By 1971, Amnesty's 10th anniversary, the movement boasted over 1,000 local groups in 28 countries. Volunteers adopted individual prisoners, wrote letters, and held public events, an organically decentralized model that remains central to Amnesty's strength. In 1977, the Nobel Committee honored Amnesty International for having contributed to securing the ground for freedom, for justice, and thereby also for peace in the world. The award elevated the organization's profile, expanded its resources, and granted it a seat at international tables of power. Amnesty's mandate grew. In 1973, it launched its first global torture campaign, publishing detailed reports that exposed abuses in over 80 countries. In subsequent years, it led campaigns against capital punishment and advanced economic, social, and gender-based rights. Under leaders like Irene Khan, it embraced an intersectional approach, recognizing how poverty, gender, and race interlock with civil liberties. As the 21st century unfolded, Amnesty adapted to new challenges: mass surveillance, digital privacy, and the use of artificial intelligence in law enforcement. It published landmark investigations into spyware used against journalists and dissidents. It reframed climate change as a human rights crisis, spotlighting communities displaced by rising seas and environmental degradation. Today, Amnesty International counts more than 10 million members and supporters worldwide, operating in over 150 countries and territories. Its structure remains decentralized, with national sections contributing to research, advocacy, and grassroots activism. Peter Benenson once wrote, "It is better to light a candle than to curse the darkness." Over 6 decades later, that simple message endures. When authoritarianism resurges and truth becomes contested, Amnesty stands as a beacon, speaking for the silenced and reminding the world that human rights are not privileges bestowed by the powerful, but the inalienable birthright of every person. Thank you for joining us on this historical journey. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, share your thoughts in the comments below, and subscribe for more captivating stories from our past. Until next time, keep exploring and stay curious.